All right. There is one more person on our list, so if you hear someone come in the door, hopefully that's them. So we're gonna do something different today, and it's going to be something based on Kemetic Yoga. So I'll explain what that is and how I discovered it and all that jazz. Basically, I don't know if you guys were able to see the solar flare lights that came through. I was not able to see them. You did?
The kids recorded it, but I didn't
know it was coming.
I did know it was coming, but I didn't see it because I wasn't outside at the time. And I had looked it up and it said it would be closer to midnight, so I was like, I'll just wait. And then of course, closer to midnight, after I saw everybody's pictures, I'm like, it's not here anymore. Then I tried the next day.
I went out today, 4 o'clock.
Didn't happen, but they were beautiful photographs. I saw one of the Natchez Straits Bridge that was just stunning. But anyway, I think this lesson comes at a fairly good time because we just got all those solar flares. Kemetic Yoga is a style of yoga that believes Kemetic. A style of yoga that believes the real roots of yoga happened in Egypt instead of India. I know. Whole nother ricochet moment. I still firmly believe that the roots of yoga is in India. I mean, it's so prevalent in the culture. Like, you can't deny how embedded it is within that culture. And there have been, paintings you found even in caves that represent yoga being around for a long, long time, thousands and thousands of years. So a number of years ago, I'm wanting to say it was 2017, 2018, but I could be wrong with that number. Before Small World Yoga came into the picture in Nashville, we had Yoga Society Nashville. And Yoga Society Nashville started in the 1970s. And I was on the board member for that society for about 6 years, even after I just taken over Half Moon Yoga at the original location. And then finally bowed out of it to just focus on the studio. But it's an organization that was developed before there were so many studios in the area, before studios were doing workshops, before studios were bringing in famous teachers to give like weekend-long seminars. And so what the Yoga Society of Nashville did, it was basically an organization to educate people in the community about yoga and to promote the teachers and the studios that existed at that time. But they also had the money to bring in the famous teachers to do like a weekend seminar. And then eventually the studios started expanding and growing and bringing in their own people. And then there was this thing called the African Yoga Project that was developed through Baron Baptiste, his style of power yoga. And Kate Ermey, who used to teach at Half Moon, was very inspired by this African Yoga Project and decided she wanted to do a festival here in Franklin, actually. It was at the factory. And all the proceeds went to the African Yoga Project. And so teachers from all over landed there. Anyway, that's when Small World Yoga developed. Small World Yoga actually developed from Kate's initial African Yoga Project Festival. And then Liz kind of took it in. It's a wonderful nonprofit organization in Nashville that they go into prisons, they go into schools, they go into safe homes for women to teach them yoga and to give them these tools, right, to live a happier, healthier lifestyle. And so when the Yoga Society was still doing the festivals, I had gone to probably their last one actually at Scarrett Bennett. And they would give you a schedule of all the teachers and the listings and what room, things were gonna be happening in. And I saw something called Kemetic Yoga, and I'm like, I've never heard of Kemetic Yoga. I've heard of all these other styles, but I'm going to that one. And so I went to this class not knowing anything about it. And what I discovered was this style of yoga was basically inspired from the hieroglyphics that you see in Egypt. And I had never been to Egypt personally. I've just seen it on movies and TV and, ancient civilizations and things like that. But all the hieroglyphics that are like the pictured stories or information regarding that age. And it really does look like yoga poses are designed within these hieroglyphics. And so some people say, because the Egyptian culture and the hieroglyphics is so much, older, they say, oh, well, yoga began in Egypt, even though that's the only proof of it. There's not been really anything else about that. So again, I still believe it's true. But here nor there. After I took that class and I saw the differences in it, and it was interesting, the instructor of that style actually ran over to me and she was like, do you remember me? And I didn't actually, because she wasn't a regular student. She just popped in on occasion. During the time I was pregnant, which was a short period of time, right? I had my baby early, so like 8 months, right? And she said that I inspired her to go teach yoga because I was so pregnant when she came to my class. And when she started researching, she was African American and had discovered this yoga that stemmed from Egypt. And of course, she was drawn to that and got trained up in Chicago. But anyway, fast forward, we got all these solar flares over the weekend. And when I was thinking about what I was going to teach, this concept came back to me that I had forgotten about. And I had heard someone talking about Ra. And Ra was like the sun god of Egypt. And evidently there was a woman who channeled Ra, who wrote a book about Ra's channelings. And I just heard a little talk about it. And the man who was talking about the book, he said basically you could sum up his teachings into this: know thyself, love thyself, and create. Know thyself, love thyself, create. And so I want you to think about how that applies to yoga, because we have a principle called swadhyaya, and swadhyaya is self-inquiry, self-study. And part of the practice is to get to know yourself at a very intimate level. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of it. And then if you start peeling back the layers of your identities, of your likes, your dislikes, of your past, and your projections in the future, your conditioning, and all the things, right? We can finally start to love ourselves. It takes work to actually love ourselves. And I don't think we realize how important that work is until about the midpoint of our lives. And then it's like, whoa, what just happened? Okay, now I need to start bringing some love back to myself a little bit here. And then the last one's create. Well, if we were made in the image of the vast and ultimate creator, then we too are meant to be co-creators. And that's part of the purpose of being here, is what else can we create? Can we co-create the life that we want and desire? So the next thing I'm going to mention is the goddess Isis, because this is going to come up in our practice. Isis was one of the goddesses of the Egyptian time. She was the goddess of beauty, of motherhood, fertility, but her wings represented safety and protection. And she was highly regarded as the goddess, right? Well, what hit me over the weekend, because I've been working a lot with the Divine Feminine, and I know we're doing that Divine Feminine trip next month. But this Divine Feminine keeps showing up over and over again, and really in vast cultures, and really in every religion, even in early Christianity, even in early Judaism. The Divine Feminine was celebrated and revered and respected and worshipped, and it just got annihilated over the years. And the woman's voice has been hushed, right? So when I look at chakras, I don't like to look at chakras necessarily as male or female, but I can definitely see in our times, the more masculine chakras are first, third, fifth, seventh. And the more feminine ones are second, fourth, sixth. To explain that, that would be a whole other class. But my point is, even at the heart, that I consider to be more feminine, it actually has both the triangles within the symbology. The triangle pointed up is more of the masculine. The triangle pointed down looks like a vessel, it's more of the feminine. Right? So feminine, masculine, and you have both here. So it's the place of integration. Well, I want you to consider something that I never thought about till this weekend. Isis has been around for thousands and thousands of years. Everybody knows Isis is a goddess, but yet nowadays we think Isis as the terrorist group. Why on earth would they name the terrorist group after the feminine goddess? I have my own theory about that. Not to really admire and respect and give credit to the Isis, the original Isis, right? But anyway. So going back into this thing that we're going to be doing today, we're going to start with core work. Because the core work is going to ignite the inner sun, the inner heat. And then once we build up that heat, we're actually going to cool down because the Kemetic Yoga, the Egyptian form, is actually a little slower and meditative. And it's a beautiful practice that I hope you enjoy. So let's start on our backs. And when you come down to your back, obviously check in to see if your legs can be elongated or if it would feel best for your knees to bend and your feet flat. And I want you to take your hands together to make that triangle where your thumbs touch and your pointer fingers come together. And you're going to place it right at your thumbs around your navel so that the pinnacle or the point of the triangle is pointed down towards your pubic bone. And then I want you to begin your mindful breath work. If this gets tiring for your arms, you don't have to keep it there, but just begin a few breaths this way. So this would be the area we would call the womb. This is the area we would call the sacral chakra. And this is the area that we would say where the Kundalini Shakti lies dormant. And that Kundalini Shakti is the life force energy that comes alive, that gets awakened, that becomes inspired and moves up or out for creativity. It's like our creative juices. Know thyself, love thyself, and create. So as you're taking these deep diaphragmatic breaths, hopefully you feel movement here at your belly. The rising on the inhale and the falling away on the exhale. And right above where your thumbs are is the solar plexus. And that's the area we're going to be working into to create some extra fire and heat. So now you're going to elongate your legs and pull them together, and your hands are now going to release down to the sticky mat, but you're extending your arm down towards your feet as the hands drop. You're rolling the outer arm bones towards the floor. You're pointing the feet, and as you inhale, pike the legs up. Flex your ankles, and then lead with your heels to lower towards the ground. Hover if you can, and then point. Inhale, pike the legs up. Flex the ankles and lower them down. If it's too early this morning to hover the feet, of course, you can land them down. And you're going to continue this with repetition. 2 more. And last one. Now we are going to inhale, pike the legs back up. This time the arms are going to float and hover above the floor. You're going to squeeze in through your belly and you're going to lift your head and shoulder blades off the ground. And what we're going to do is we're going to pump the arms 5 times on the inhale, 5 times on the exhale. Let's begin. One more breath, 5 pumps on the inhale, 5 on the exhale. And then when you complete that, lower your head and hug your knees in towards your upper body. Stretch out your lower back, give a little compression to the abdomen. Slow down your breath. Affirming, I release all scattered forces to rise up and away into the sky. Now we're going to go into the abdominal breath flow. So ground your feet with knees bent, arms back beside you, palms facing down. And on your inhalation, you're going to push down through the soles of the feet, firing up hamstrings and glutes to lift your hips high. And on your out breath, you're going to bring the arms back around as you feel one vertebra down at a time like a delicate string of pearls. And then you're going to pick up your feet and your head and curl in like a cannonball. And then as you inhale, the arms go overhead, the feet land to the ground, and you rise to bridge, Setu Bandhasana. And as you exhale, contract your core and curl in. And this is our established new flow. Opening the front body on the inhale. Opening the back body on the exhale. Firing up and strengthening the back body as you breathe in. Firing up and strengthening your core as you breathe out. So last week, our whole theme was about transitions and meeting transitions with intention, grace, and acceptance. So you can roll that theme over to today as well. Since in every yoga practice, we face transitions. Let's do 2 more. And last one. All right, now that you've curled in the last time, land your feet, cup and place your hands behind the base of your skull. We're going to do some yogi sit-ups. So yogi sit-ups are a little different than crunches, even though they're similar. So you're going to isolate your midsection and just lift your head and shoulders off the floor. We're not drawing the elbows in, because if you do that, that's going to pull and yank on your neck, and you really want to use the core. And then as you inhale, lower. As you exhale, lift. We're not doing a full sit-up. Now, if you want to gain a little bit more strength, you can hold at the top. And then wait for the inhale to lower you back down. 3 more. And then I promise, Kemetic Yoga doesn't really have any of this core work. We'll be cooling down after this. All right, after those 3, lower your head, release your arms.
And then from here, you're gonna stretch your legs out, but separate your feet really wide. And you're gonna do the same thing with the arms overhead. The hands go really wide. Now, let's just start right arm, left leg lifts. You may have enough flexibility to tap the toe, but that's really not the goal. And then once you land down, you're lifting the right leg, left arm, neck. So alternate limbs are coming up. And then you're swapping sides. But if you want to work the side obliques, because we've been focused more on the rectus abdominis muscles. So if you want to work the side obliques, lift your head and cross over as you bring your limbs up. Now we started right arm, left leg. So let's end with the right leg, left arm. Once you recline, pull the knees in towards your side body, lifting the feet, and allow your hands to grab a hold of the feet for Ananda Balasana, blissful faith. So let the fire simmer in the belly and send the work down into your hips. That inner fire can give us motivation and drive. Now roll to your right side body and push down through your left hand. And we're gonna come over. Now we're gonna begin our Kemetic Yoga, which I hope you like. I really like it. So stand like in Tadasana. Bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. As you inhale, separate your arms really wide, palms facing the front of the room. As you exhale, bring your left hand in front of your navel and your right hand in front of the left hand. So it looks like this. You're not actually touching the body. And then lift up through your inhale and exhale, spin and twist to your right. Good. Now inhale, separate your arms again. You're still facing the windows. Good. Exhale, turn your head over the left shoulder. Inhale, turn the head so the chin's aligned with the chest. And exhale, turn your gaze off to the right. Inhale, chin in line with your chest. Bring both arms up to goddess arms so the elbows are bent. Good. Now place your left hand in front of your navel. Exhale, turn your gaze over the left shoulder. Inhale, chin in line with the chest. Exhale, turn your gaze over the right shoulder. Good. Inhale, head comes back to center. Bring the right hand in front of your left and unwind from the twist. Inhale, separate your arms really wide apart. Exhale, right hand in front of the navel and your left hand in front of that. Inhale, lift through the top of the head. Exhale, twist to your left. You got it. Stay in the twist. Inhale, separate your hands. Exhale, turn your gaze over the right shoulder. Inhale, head facing the darkened wall, and exhale, turn to gaze over the back shoulder. Inhale, chin in line with your chest, bring your arms back to the goddess arm. Good, bring your right hand in front of your navel. Exhale, turn to face the front of the room. Inhale, turn to face the side wall. Exhale, look to the back wall. Inhale, look to the side wall. Place your right hand in front of your left and slowly unwind. All right, we're gonna do that again. Inhale, separate your arms really wide apart. Good, exhale. Left hand in front of the navel, right hand in front of that. Inhale, lift through the top of the head. Exhale, spin to your right. Inhale, create your wingspan. Exhale, gaze over the left shoulder. Inhale, face the windows. Exhale, turn your head to the right. Inhale, turn your head chin line with your chest. Create your goddess arms. And bring your left hand in front of your navel. Exhale, turn and look over the left shoulder. Inhale, chin in line with chest. Exhale, gaze over the back shoulder. Good, inhale, face center, bring your right hand in front, unwind from the twist. Inhale, separate your arms. Exhale, right hand in front of the belly, left hand in front of that. Inhale, zip up through your midriff, and exhale, spin and twist to your left. Inhale, expand your arms nice and wide. Exhale, look over the front shoulder. Inhale to the side wall. Exhale to the back of the room. Inhale to the side wall, bring your arms up. Exhale, bring your right hand down. Gaze over the right shoulder. Turn back to the side wall. Gaze over the back shoulder. Good. Chin in line with chest. Left hand in front of the right. And unwind from that position. All right, that was our little warm-up for Kemetic Yoga. You're going to be doing this several times over in this style, creating the pyramid. And we're going to start at the top of the mat. We're going to do their version of a sun salutation. All right, so we begin with this pyramid kind of pointed down towards the root chakra. Good, as you inhale, your hands lift. They come to prayer position kind of in front of your brow, and you keep your arms apart and you're looking through the pyramid. Okay, so this is the pyramid we're looking through. From here, we take a deep inhale, turn the palms to face the front. We're still holding the pyramid. Lift the arms straight up overhead. Good, and as you exhale, separate your arms, arch back, and you can even bring the Jnana Mudra for wisdom, thumbs meeting the index fingers. All right, inhale, coming back up, bring that pyramid overhead, and as we exhale, it's kind of like you're diving into water. If your hands have the ability to touch the floor, you're creating that pyramid shape with your palms flat. Otherwise, you're just holding that shape with your fingertips. No big deal. Again, the goal is not necessarily to touch the floor. Once you're holding your Uttanasana, opening up the back of the legs, we'll take an in-breath, and we're going to step the left foot back behind us. When you step the left foot back behind you, stretch long through your thigh bones, and slowly sit your back knee to the ground. We actually lift the back foot and point the toes up before laying it down to the sticky mat. Good. From here, we're going to cup the arms up underneath the thigh, looking down. And as we inhale, we're coming up, pressurizing that front foot for Anjaneyasana and creating that pyramid with the index finger and thumbs over the crown. Good. From here, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, fan your arms out, loop them underneath the front thigh, gaze down. Inhale, coming up to Anjaneyasana with the pyramid overhead. Good. Then exhale, place your hands to the knee. And it's like you're lengthening the knee forward, dropping the hips down. Let your shoulders relax. And then take your head back. Hold and breathe here. As you exhale, you're going to lean forward and allow the chest to spill onto the knee. Your hands are going to frame the front foot. Now curl the back toes under, and when you're ready, step up and back to downward facing dog. Your feet are just a few inches apart. You're lifting through the buttocks. Your sits bones should be the pinnacle of the pose. Now take a moment here as you're holding this shape, right? And think about how we as Westerners call this downward facing dog. How when I returned from India, I mentioned they were calling this mountain pose. And you can see how this could also be referenced as pyramid pose. Feel this shape in your body. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale, breathe it out through the mouth. Land down to your knees. Untuck your toes. Sit back towards your hips, but you're coming onto Sphinx arms. So the Kemetic Yoga Sphinx pose, we're sitting like child's pose. We're on the forearms, but push down through the arms, jut up through your heart, and lift your head and look out. Now, if looking straight ahead strains your neck, you can angle the head slightly forward and just kind of gaze down the lane of your mat. Breathe here in Sphinx. And now slide your arms out like you're coming into an extended form of child's, except you're keeping your head up, because we're going to slither through, staying pretty low to the ground, and lift right up to straight arms, pelvis off the floor into upward facing dog. Exhale, curl your toes, and roll it back to downward facing dog. Hold and be here. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and bring that left foot all the way to the front of the mat. Exhale, drop the back knee. Lift the back foot, point the toes, and then slowly set it down to the floor. From here, you're going to hook the arms up underneath that front thigh, and then you're going to lift up, creating that pyramid over the crown of your head. From here, we exhale. We loop the arms back under, gaze down. And then we inhale, we travel right back up. Hands forming that pyramid shape. Good, now bring your hands down to that front knee, and you're gonna shift that thigh forward, let your hips melt down, and then notice the shoulders maybe crunching up towards the ears, so roll them back, open your throat. Exhale, you're gonna lean out over the front knee. You're gonna spill the hands down. You're gonna curl the back toes under, and you're gonna lift that back knee and step it to the front. Bow out, Uttanasana, maybe making that pyramid shape. On your next inhale, take the arms to your sides and up overhead. Exhale, bring the hands down in front of the legs. Good, inhale, bring them back up. Palms together, look through the shape of the pyramid. And then as you exhale, bend the knees, ground down, hands to heart. All right, we're gonna do another. Inhale, slowly straighten your legs. Bring that pyramid over the top of the head. Good, exhale, bring it down in front of the legs. Good, inhale, lift it back up. Your palms meet, look through the shape of the pyramid. Then turn your palms out, reach the arms overhead, and we're gonna dive. It's a little different than the swan dive. Like you're diving off a cliff. We're diving. Pause here. Uttanasana. Breathe into the backside of the legs. Give yourself a moment to release. And on your next inhale, we're going to step that left foot back behind us. We're going to sink down to the back knee. We're gonna lift the back foot and slowly set it to the floor. Wrap the arms up underneath that front thigh. Inhale, coming up to Anjani Asana with the pyramid over the top of the head. Exhale, sweep the arms down and under. Unless you need your hands to balance. Inhale, bringing it right back up to the top. And then exhale, hands beneath the knee. Press the knee forward, settle the hips down, shoulders back, heart, throat open. We're gonna change this one just a little bit. As we come forward over the front knee, the hands ground, the back toes curl, and we're gonna take the right leg up and down. With this one-legged version of this pose. Good, slowly set the right foot to the floor. Shift forward into your plank. Rock forward and lower down to your Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, build to upward facing dog. Exhale, you're coming back onto your shins. Hands slide back. We're doing their form of Sphinx. On the forearms, head, heart, up. I don't know, I like this form of Sphinx. It's kind of cool. Affirming, I rise joyfully to greet each and every new opportunity. Know thyself, love thyself, and create. All right, extend your arms back out in front of you. Good, you're gonna stay low as you slither through and again to upward facing dog. And exhale, rock and roll back to downward facing dog. All right, from here, we're gonna float the left leg up. Square the hips, square the shoulders. And when you're ready, you're gonna swing that foot to the top of the mat. You're gonna land the back knee, pick up the back foot, point the toes, settle it back down, and then hook your arms. And if the hooking of the arms creates an imbalance, you can use your hands, so no problem. Inhale, lift up, pyramid overhead. Exhale, arms thread below. Inhale, back to the pyramid overhead. Exhale, hands to the front thigh. Shift down with your hips, roll back with your shoulders, and look up with your eyes. All right, bring the heart over the knee, hands to the ground, curl the back toes under. When you're ready, step that back foot forward. Folding into Uttanasana, maybe creating pyramid hands. Inhale all the way up. Hands above. Exhale, bring the hands down in front of the legs. Good. Inhale, hands together before the brow, looking through the shape of the pyramid. And then exhale, bend the knees, get more grounded, hands to heart. All right, taking the pyramid shape, standing with the tension, arms in front. All right, that's the version of a sun sound. We're gonna do a new little sequence here where step back on your mat, not all the way, but like, halfway, 2/3, something like that. So we're gonna step forward with the left foot. Now, I'm gonna suggest that you go ahead and slightly turn your right foot, not all the way to the windows, but slightly that direction. Long enough where you can still keep your hips square facing the front of the room and there's no torque in that back knee. All right, from here, we'll take the hands into the pyramid. We bring the arms up. And then we're gonna dive over the front leg like we did with Uttanasana. So this is actually usually referenced as our pyramid pose. And while you're here, I want you to consider for a moment how mysterious the pyramids are. How they're not just in Egypt, but they're all over the world. How there's hidden corridors, there's hidden treasures. And this can represent your own self. We all have hidden corridors and treasures within. On your next inhale, plug that left foot down. You're building the arms back up. As you exhale, be careful here, because as you start to turn to face the windows, you can actually turn the right foot more to protect that back knee. You got it. And then exhale, you separate your arms into that goddess arms. Exhale, turning gaze over the left shoulder. Inhale, head turns to face center. Exhale to the right. Inhale, bring the chin back in line with your chest. And as you exhale, bring your right hand in front of your belly. Good. Now, slowly start to turn back to face the front, and you can spin the right foot to square your hips. Yes. And you may want to turn your back foot. And actually, Martha, step your right foot towards the door a little bit more. That'll give you better balance. Okay, now bring both hands overhead again, pyramid, and you're gonna dive in. Pyramid pose. Now from this variation of pyramid, we're actually gonna go into triangle. So maybe your left hand can stay planted on the floor. Maybe it can drop to your foot. Maybe you want it to your shin or block, doesn't matter. But we're gonna open that right arm and fan it up towards the sky. Creating a vertical line if you can between your left and your right hands. Utilize the strength of your legs, utilize the strength of your core, and draw up through that right hand. Once you come up to stand, relax your arms. And you can step the back foot forward. All right, let's step back again. We're stepping forward today. The right foot's gonna step ahead. Slightly turn the left foot out, but square your hips. Pyramid shape over the top of the head. And when you're ready, pull that navel in towards the spine. Dive out over the right leg. Squeeze that right hip in and under. While we're being introspective, it is seeking and searching for the hidden treasures that lie within. Maybe it's the whisper of our inner voice. Maybe it's the calling of our hearts. Maybe it's our deepest desires, our passionate pursuits. Maybe there's a skill that we haven't used in a while that could be useful. Seek and you shall find. All right, now plug that right foot down. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, be cautious here because as you turn, you're probably going to want to turn your left foot as well, and then open up your arms to the goddess formation. Exhale, look over the right shoulder. Inhale, head turns, chin in line with chest. Exhale, look over the back shoulder. Inhale, chin in line with the chest. Bring your right hand down in front of your belly. And then slowly start to turn back to face the front. Spin that left foot so that you have ease in your back knee. Good. Bringing the pyramid back up overhead. When you're ready, dive over to your pyramid pose. But this pyramid pose is where we're going to open up to our Trikonasana. So where do you want your right hand to be as you turn the left hand and fan it up towards the sky? Affirming energy and joy flow down to me. Again, use the strength of your legs. Pull in through your navel. Draw up through your left fingertips. Come up to stand. Relax your arms. And step to the front. All right. You may want a block or two. Because we're gonna sit on the heels eventually, or at least one of the heels. And I'll demo with one block, which you can absolutely use two. Now, this is a little tricky, for me anyway. We're gonna step back with the right foot. Now, I find it tricky because I'm used to having the toes tucked when I bend the back knee, but we're actually coming to the top of the foot and sinking to the back knee. It's tricky, right? I don't know, maybe it's just me. Then I'm gonna use a block to actually sit on, and you don't have to sit on the block, you can sit on the heel, you can sit on the floor, or you can stack two blocks even. If you find that two blocks is still disrupting or aggravating your knee, then you can do it from here, the half lunge. Okay, so there are options. All right, here. Hands together. And then bring the hands to the brow. So you're looking through the pyramid. The pose of immortality. Pose of immortality. So I love that there's this like elixir that both Egyptians and Indians speak about in their stories. All right, we're slowly going to bring the hands down and we're going to twist to the right. So you're facing the windows. Now push, if your left arm touches that left knee, you can kind of shove it together to take a little deeper twist, okay? Now we're moving into the goddess pose. It's representing Isis. And we're going to spread the wings. I wish you guys could see the hieroglyphic that goes with this pose. Really cool. All right, exhale, look over the left shoulder. Inhale, chin in line with chest. Exhale, look over the back shoulder. Inhale, chin in line with chest, goddess arms. Look over the left shoulder. Turn your head to center and back to the right. To center. Hands together to prayer. Unwind from the pose, look through the pyramid. Pose of immortality. All right, when you're ready, shift forward. Come up to stand. Second side. The block, remember, is behind you, so look down as you step back with your left foot. And you may need the toes to be tucked to bring the knee down. Or you may find when you start to bend the knee, you can flip it and then slowly lower. Come into it your way. So you don't have to do it this distinct style. And find your seats or your half lunge, which works great too. Okay, hands to prayer initially, just settling in. Pose of immortality, a good reminder. When we were in India, they had water and it was supposed to be like filtered water from the Ganges River. And it said, drink of immorality. It's amazing what one letter can do to change up the whole meaning. And we laughed and laughed because we knew it was supposed to be immortality and we still failed to tell the hotel. So next year, if it's still immorality, I will tell them. Bring the hands down and twist to the left. Take their goddess pose. Arms span out. Remember the wings represent safety and protection. And then look over the right shoulder. Turn your head and then gaze to the back shoulder. Inhale, turn your head again, create your goddess arms and look over the right. Inhale, turn the head to the middle and then back to the left. Inhale, head to the middle, hands back to prayer. Turn back to face the front, hands at the brow, looking through the pyramid. And then we'll bring the hands down. We'll shift forward to move that block. And instead of coming to stand, we'll go to tabletop position. From tabletop, let's flip the left hand and thread and loop it under. That's all that I know from Kemetic Yoga. I'm sure there's so much more, but that at least gives you a taste of it. And then if you ever want to try it at home, you can play. So the next thing I want to tell you while you're here, the Divine Feminine trip that we're taking to France next month, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be telling all of them. Margaret gets a preview. So the place that the Lord says, you know, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, and the other Mary, and Martha, and Lazarus, when they were escaping the persecution, the early Christians, and they set sail. They landed in this marshland area of southern France. And at that point, there is a Black Madonna there called Sarah Lacali. And some of the stories say that this Black Madonna represents the aristocrat or the queen of that region whenever these people landed there. And they worshiped Ra and they worshiped Isis at that time. There's another piece of the story that says, well, she was actually the servant for these women and helped these women with cooking and cleaning, and taking care of the children. And so it's paying homage to her. And there's another story that says, no, Sarah was the daughter of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and that's why she's represented here. But I want you to look at that term, Sarah La Colin. Because we already mentioned that this was a place of worship of gods and goddesses. Inhale, come out of that twist and take it to the other side. Thread the needle, opening your right hand, looping it under the left hand, and moving down towards it here. You can be active or passive with this. Well, in my research, I discovered that this Black Madonna is dressed, adorned, and she's paraded through the streets, and she's taken to the sea and washed in water. And all of that represents Hindu customs from that Indian culture. And Sarah could be short for Saraswati, the Hindu goddess of wisdom, knowledge, books, arts. La could be short for Lakshmi, which is the goddess of beauty and fertility, abundance and prosperity, wealth, abundance. And then you have Kali, which is the goddess of time, death, transformation, rebirthing. Basically, Sarah La Kali could represent the trilogy of goddesses in that trinity of Hinduism. So it's really interesting how all these customs are kind of meshed together in this part of southern France. All right, on your next inhale, let's unwind from that twist and let's come down to our backs. That was our final inversion and twist today. If you wanted to create, a restorative pose, you could put the blocks together with the bolster. You could create a slide. You could create Stonehenge, or you don't even have to utilize props. So I'll let you determine that for yourself. And once you get settled and recline, I want to offer you some guided imagery for your rest today. This imagery is going to create
a prism of light in the shape of a pyramid around your space, around your mat, around your body. I want you to take a moment just to think of graph paper, you know, those lines that make the little squares. You could also think of cheesecloth, that material that's very porous. You spread it open. And this is what kind of a grid I would like you to create with the pyramid. Similar to that. So once your breath begins to normalize, you can call on any higher power, even your higher self, to assist in making this prism of light. You could also call in Metatron, one of the angels. He's considered the angel of light, to create this for you. Whatever intention you want to put with it is fine. But ask for the highest vibration of love and light to begin to create golden threads or laser golden lights horizontally underneath your form, underneath your space. The base of the pyramid first. Create the foundation. And then ask and visualize for these golden threads or this golden laser light to start shooting down from above. Like a blessing from the heavens. To create more of the vertical lines from the top down. But again, in the shape of this powerful pyramid structure. And that may be enough, but you may want or enjoy visualizing and asking for some diagonal lines coming in from left and right. These golden threads or golden laser light to fill in the rest of the grid. Even imagine those lights and threads going through your mind and body, not just around you or encasing you, but including you in the mix. Once you've created this prism of light, this pyramid structure, then you can repeat internally, know thyself, love thyself, create, know thyself, love thyself, and create. Know thyself, love thyself, and create.
To move the body slowly, gently. Finding your way out of this shape. Find a seat. You can imagine as you're sitting upright, you're still sitting in the middle. This prism of light. Feel the shape even in your body now. Your head being the feet. Seats, and knees being the base. And we're going to create that pyramid shape. Bring it to the brow to represent know thyself. Then bring it down to the heart. And once you create the pyramid here, flip it. So you're representing both the masculine and feminine to love thyself. You need to love both aspects. And then bring the vessel with your palms turned to face your body like you did at the very beginning, down to the sacral chakra. The place allows us to create. Join the hands together in a prayer position. Sealing in this practice of Kemetic Yoga, it's Egyptian form. I hope you enjoyed exploring this today. Yes. So I'm not sure if that teacher is still around Nashville, because it's been a while since I've seen her. But if you're interested in learning a little bit more, just look it up. It's there. It doesn't have the lineage or the roots that's embedded in the yogic form stemming from India, but if you think about it, people travel, right? There was trade constantly going on then, just like there is today. So it makes sense that it was in Egypt too. Yeah, it is different.